You're listening to the Informal Mystic Podcast, your destination for mind-bending conversations that explore metaphysics, energy medicine, and the mysteries of the universe. I'm your host, Blair McDaniel. Hi, Mystics. I am so excited to be back on the podcast today. As you know, I haven't been on the podcast in quite a while, and really basically since February. Last episode I posted was in February, and I'm just really excited to be back on the podcast. And I miss it. You all know that I have such a resistance to doing a podcast without a co-host. I had this idea a long time ago that me and my best friend would start a podcast together, and we would kind of market it together and do the whole thing together. Well, then she got pregnant, so she couldn't do that. And she's not pregnant anymore, but we just haven't really picked up the mantle and decided to start podcasting again together. But I really miss this type of content. I miss the long form content. I miss being able to just like hop on and just talk to you all. And so I am doing a podcast all by myself today. I have no co-host with me. And this is just kind of going to be a real free flow, energetic experience where I'm channeling and just kind of, floating in and out of the mind, the spirit, the body. And I want to talk to you today about quantum connection. I want to talk about what quantum connection is, how I found my quantum connection, how people can kind of block their quantum connection. And then I want to round it out by telling you about what's coming up in the fall at Informal Mystic. There's so many fun, exciting opportunities for you to connect with me and really get into my energy and learn the kinds of things that I know. I realize that my medicine is pretty unique. And when I say that my medicine's unique, that is said with the humility of knowing that all medicine is unique, right? Like if there is a practitioner out there offering their perspective and their healing to the world, that is based very much on what their inner world and what their inner experience is like. And so the ability to connect with unique medicine is just as unique as finding people to work with, right? Like, so every single person that you come across has a unique medicine, but it's not, my medicine isn't really based in a lineage. And so when I talk about quantum energy therapy, it's such an expansive experience because I'm not limited by maybe like a Reiki energy or a hypnotherapy type experience where there is a specific thing that they're doing. There's a specific energy that they're working with and running through the body. And what I'm doing is just so much more expansive and just so really, really free flowing. And so I wanted to come on and talk about really my concept of the quantum. And I'm realizing that as I get better and better at marketing my business, as I get more anchored into my truth, that the gift of my medicine is this quantum connection. And so I wanted to start, honestly, at the very beginning. I can't tell a short story. You guys know that. My stories are typically very long-winded. Today I posted, and you guys are going to die because Instagram is such a short form content type thing. I posted a 10-minute video. 10 minutes. Can you believe a 10-minute video on Instagram? That's just friggin' wild and insane. And so I don't tell short stories. I tell long, drawn out stories that hopefully come to some kind of like conclusion at their end. But, if it doesn't, hopefully the story still brings you joy and, connection, hopefully make you feel seen. So I guess the story really does start very, very early in my life where I was introduced to Christianity, organized religion, and the form of that organized religion was evangelical Christianity. And there is a very specific way that you relate to spirituality when you are a Christian. When you were given this type of belief system. And so I prayed to the Holy Spirit and God and Jesus, the Trinity, the Holy Trinity. I prayed only to them. That was my only spiritual connection because there were like a ton of mostly Old Testament Bible verses that said, if you talk to or pray to anything else or connect with any other kind of energy, It's demonic. And so you had really two paths of connection. You had like God, Jesus, the Holy Spirit. God had a white beard. Jesus was like a white guy with brown hair. The Holy Spirit was like really not something we talked about a whole lot. The Holy Spirit was probably like God or Jesus shaped, but maybe like a little bit see-through in my mind. And so I would love to hear if that was like your perception or take on the Holy Spirit. But yeah, that's how I sort of perceived the only thing that I had access to connect with, because everything else was demonic. Everything else was from Satan. And it was always these things that were trying to lead you astray and like set you off course and blah, blah, blah. And so my spirituality was very, very limited, very, very closed off. And oh my gosh, the suffering that I experienced based upon that very, very limited understanding of all that there is access to, right? Like all of the energy, all of the quantum connection. I am just so grateful I found it now. And I also have gratitude for the severe limitations that I was kind of born with, so that I could push out of them and really find my way into this super, super, super expansive experience of spiritual connection. And so for the longest time, I was sort of just languishing in my spiritual connection. I would pray, I would talk to God, I would talk to the Holy Spirit. In fact, it was my miscarriage. I had a miscarriage and the child was named Sage. And so I would go and talk to God, and what would happen during my conversations with God, my connection with God and the Holy Spirit, is that my child would come into my energy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is not supposed to happen. Like I'm not supposed to be able to connect with my kid or whatever. And I did though, right? Like I did. And it was so mind-boggling and it was so expansive. And after I got over thinking that maybe Satan was trying to like attack me, which like, oh my God, I'm so glad I don't do that anymore. I am so glad I don't have to like constantly watch my back and like make sure that, Satan isn't trying to like interfere with my energy or whatever. But after I got over the idea that Satan was trying to like use my child as like a point of weakness, I was able to really welcome that and bring that in and really pull in this idea that my child was connecting with me in the spirit realm. And so that was the first point that kind of began unraveling these ideas of what spiritual connection meant. The second point was, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, but it was when my best friend's husband passed away. When my best friend's husband passed away, what happened was I was responsible for doing his funeral. They asked me to come and officiate his funeral. And it was a really beautiful ceremony. And the morning of the ceremony, after I'd already written everything and after I was like really scared to prepare this funeral, I went and had this moment in time where I was connected with the energy of, his name was Terry, and I was connected with Terry's energy, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful and profound and expansive. And I remember sitting in there, and I had closed myself off into like a private room, like my kid's bedroom or something. And I locked the door, and my kids were out there like free ranging, like who the freaking crap knows what they were doing. But they were probably like eating cereal on the couch watching Netflix, hopefully. But I had locked myself away because I knew there was some intuitive knowing within me that I needed to go and like really connect. I really needed to get there. I really needed to go connect with this, whatever this was coming through. And so I went and sat in the energy. Okay, I called it the energy just now because I believe that that's what it is now. But I was working still in that framework of God, the Holy Spirit, and Jesus. And so I went and prayed. And like, I'll put that in air quotes because I wasn't actually praying. I mean, I guess technically, like I could define it that way now. But I went and sat with the Holy Spirit, and it was not even really the Holy Spirit as a personified deity or whatever. It was just Terry. Terry was just there. And in my mind's eye, I was astral projecting. I didn't know I was doing that, but I was astral projecting. And in my mind's eye, we were looking at the expanse of the universe. I was looking at stars and energy and these fluid flows of beauty that was just coming around me and just swirling. And oh my gosh, it was one of the most transformative experiences I've ever had. still to this day, and I've had so many of these moments in the astral and connected in the quantum realm. But Terry like came to me and was like, hey, like, I know you're worried for your friend. I know you're worried for her, but I need you to be okay because she's going to be okay. I need you to have faith that she's going to be okay because you need to borrow your faith. And I also need to tell you that I loved our life together. I know that things were rough with us. I know that things were like tricky from time to time, navigating our relationship. We weren't always very close, and there was always a bit of resistance between us because of just stupid asinine origin story things that I won't say here. But we didn't have a great relationship, and that was one of my regrets when he passed away, that I never really got to have this like reconnection with him. And so there we are in the quantum realm. There we are connected and tapped in with one another. And he just says, you got this. You got this. This is a good life. I lived a good life. Please don't define it otherwise. Please define my life as a good life. And so he was just there around me. And that was the second thing that rocked my world, so dramatically. And I always feel like it really does take some kind of like really like a clinch point, like that was a moment in time that just rocked the foundations of my reality in so many different ways, right? Like he was young, he wasn't supposed to die. And there he was, he passed away. My best friend now has to navigate life alone. And oh my God, it was just so much. And so I was soft and I was open to the idea that maybe I had no idea what life actually meant, no idea what the potential for this life could mean. And so that would be the second example of this quantum connection that I'm talking about that really propelled me out of these hardcore beliefs of God, God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and into maybe I have no idea what's going on here. After that, I began really unraveling a lot of my beliefs, a lot of my really hard-nosed, deeply entrenched in Christianity type beliefs. And they all just disappeared. They all just like went away one by one by one. And I say that really like flippantly, but this was painstaking. This was a lot of grief work. This was a lot of me being like, God, I've believed the wrong thing all this time. I believed things that harmed people. I harmed people through my beliefs. And so, God, there's so much grieving, so much like painstaking, like, what will people think when I stop believing this? What will people say? Will I have a purpose? And just like, it was excruciating. It was excruciating. I read this book called Conversations with God. It's a book that I recommend regularly. If you haven't read it, I totally think you should go read it. It was so good for me in that season of life. And so like right after that, I jump into this book. I'm, exploring all of these expansive ideas. I read this book, Conversations with God, which is like, what could meaning be? What is energy? What is life, right? What is God? All of these questions are answered in this book in a really beautiful, organic way, in a very non-threatening way for me. And so I was working my way through this book and it was just like belief gone, belief gone, belief gone, next belief, next belief, next belief. And I was just like, going through some freaking beliefs. And what happened was I got to early 2020. I woke up to a lot of ways that I was really resentful of my origin. A lot of the ways that I was experiencing just like, I don't know, just the cognitive dissonance that I was engaged in. Like I felt like I was the only person who realized that like the tables were floating in the sanctuary and nobody else was paying any attention to the tables floating in the sanctuary. And so it was a painful season, but there was a day where I was like, okay, it's over. It's over. And the series of events that took place that like nudged me forward were really, really hard, really painful. I had a very difficult conversation with the ministry leaders that I was participating with. And it was just time. It was just time. I sat in the sanctuary of the last church that I ever went to. And I just cried and cried and cried, and I couldn't stop crying. It was insane. Like I can usually keep it together long enough to like go grab my purse from the room, but I could not keep it together. And so I would just cry and I'd be like, okay, I'm good. I got it. I'm going to go back in. I'm going to get my stuff. Like I had left the Bible study room that we were in. We were all engaged in this Bible study, and I walked out in tears because of this final event, this sort of nail in the coffin type experience. Walked out of the room in tears, could not stop crying. And I'm sitting in the sanctuary and I'm like, every facet of this system that I'm part of is, number one, built on control, and number two, built in this very egoic way that perpetuates egotistical coping mechanisms, right? Like an us versus them and in and an out type binary that only served the pastor who was making money, So didn't serve the ministry peons like me, who was volunteering and giving every ounce of my life to this doggone ministry. And so sat there and realized that was like it. Like I couldn't keep going to that church and couldn't keep participating in that ministry, and walked out the door. And it was this prevailing feeling of, I have to go so that I can do more, right? The energy was like beckoning. Like, right back then I called it the Holy Spirit still. Even as I was leaving, I called it the Holy Spirit. I call them my guides now, but they were beckoning me. It was beckoning me, the energy, the all, the consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it. It was pulling me, and it was saying, you can stay if you need to, but you don't have to. And if you don't, it's going to get really freaking fun. It'll be really, really, really good. You will have more fulfillment, more, oh gosh, think of all I have right now. I have so much, and I'm just obsessed with it all. You'll have abundance. You'll have fun. You'll have joy. You'll have freedom. You'll have a voice. You'll feel seen. You'll feel heard. And you'll show up in the world in a way that brings you so much joy and so much fulfillment. And so I did it. I took the leap and I left. And then about 10 days later, the whole world shut down. Because it was right at the beginning of 2020. And so 2020 rolls around. I really do a lot of battling with what meaning and purpose means for me. And I get into a little bit of a tiff with my business coach all the time, because she always says like, okay, what are you offering people? And I say, I'm offering them meaning. I'm offering them purpose. And she's like, no, that's not a thing. Like you have to offer them a feeling, and meaning and purpose is not a thing. And like, I still feel like meaning and purpose is a thing. And so I still say it in my marketing and in my branding and stuff. I offer meaning because that's what I found, right? I stared into the void and I was like, what does any of this mean? What is life? What am I doing here? And the void was like, yo, girl, nothing. You're not doing anything. You're doing nothing that will ever last. Nothing will ever make any sense. Nothing will ever really matter. And so isn't that exciting? Like that's the paradox. Like I had to go to the deepest, darkest place of meaninglessness, of really like staring into the excruciating void and really realizing that nothing matters. Nothing has meaning. The only things that have meaning are the things that we assign meaning, right? And so it really becomes this shift from obligatory meaning, like, oh, I have to make disciples, or, oh, I have to leave a legacy for my children, or, oh, I have to, do something that'll last. And it becomes none of that could ever happen anyway, right? Like none of those things are ever sustainable. Give it 100 years and everyone will forget you. Everyone will forget everything you do. But that's a beautiful thing. That's a gift. Your meaninglessness means that you assign meaning, right? And so my business coach always says, like, that's not a thing. You need to expand that. And I say, no, it is a thing. So yeah, if you're listening to this, Jasmine, I freaking love you. And we can keep working on this. And I'd love to hear from you too. Like, what does meaning feel like to you? Like, is that enough? Does it feel good when I offer you all meaning? Or does it just feel like weird and like not like a thing? But to kind of get back on track, I left the church. I really struggled with my ideas of meaning and just sort of began following what showed up for me. And what showed up for me was this most expansive connection to the quantum field. Right? I met my mentor who introduced me to my guides. She introduced me to this idea that I have access to energy as a substance, energy as a raw material of the universe, and that I could connect with it. Right. And so all she had to do was invite me into this belief, and I was freaking off. I tell you what, like, I was like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. There was some kind of resonance, right? Like you know, when you meet someone and you're like, oh yeah, I can like immediately connect with this person because we have such a connected feeling frequency. I immediately was like, okay, this is it. This is it for me. This feels so right. This feels so good. And so in those early days, I was meditating and connecting in the quantum field over and over and over again for hours at a time. And I was like literally crafting my medicine. I didn't even realize it, right? A lot of people have so many limits to their connection that they like don't go as crazy and like explore everything that I was able to explore. And so I took all of that wide open space. I really honed in on connecting to the quantum field, and then I made a modality out of it. I created quantum energy therapy. And so I have no rules. I got no rules, guys, which is so freaking good and ironic because, oh my God, the place I came from had so many rules, right? Like all the rules, all those religious rules of how to pray, when to pray, what to pray. Are you prophesying, or is it, demons? So they're always talking about demons over there, for crying out loud. I don't know what everybody's obsession with demons is. I don't even think I've really ever met a demon as they've, talked about it. I guess I could maybe call one in and see what it's all about. But, I'm like so safe because of my belief in my autonomy and my power, that even if I did find out that demons were like legit, in the way that they perceive them, I'd be fine. I'd be like totally freaking fine because, I just feel so powerful in this quantum field. And you should too. Is the whole point I'm making. You have access to the quantum field the exact same way that I do, right? And when I'm talking about the quantum field, what I'm meaning is the space between atoms. There's really no way to talk about this very accurately. Number one, science is not super accessible for everyone, right? Like I didn't get to go to college and learn about physics. And even if I had, I probably would have fallen asleep in class because I don't care about how things work. I care about how things work. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I care about the mechanics of reality and dimension and energy, and not like E equals MC squared, right? Like I don't care about that, and that's not accessible to me. But this idea of consciousness, this idea of quantum connection, that's what really lights my soul on fire. And so there's really not a school pathway for me or for people like me, right? Which is why I'm creating like my programs, my Mystic Mastery, my apprenticeship program, my Haven Inner Circle that starts in the fall. I'm creating all of these because there really is no, this isn't like common knowledge, but it's something that we all can do. And that's what I want to connect you guys with. That's what I'm so desperate to connect you with. And so again, when I'm talking about quantum connection, what I'm really meaning is this idea that there lies a space between things, right? Like a space of maybe like antimatter, or like the space between atoms, right? Like I did a chemistry class. I dropped it in college because chemistry is so hard and it's so much math, and oh my God, I couldn't do it. But we had this long conversation one day about the makeup of an atom, and you have the nucleus of the atom, or like the center of the atom, that's made up of protons and neutrons. And then you have electrons that are like rotating around the outside of the atom. And it was like, well, professor, what is between the electrons and then the core of this atomic structure? Like, what is going on? Like, what is that? And the guy was like, nobody does. Nobody knows what's between the electron and the middle of the atom. And to me, I don't know if this is, you could probably like science me out of this, but to me, the space between these matters and the space that creates the matter would be the quantum field, right? This field of, universal connection or universal flow, or it's source consciousness. It's consciousness as the animator of reality, the animator of all things. And when we can slip into this attunement, this quantum attunement, we can access all things, right? We can access the all. And this is how I do it. This is how I go into the quantum zone, quantum field, quantum realm, whatever you want to call it. And this is how I know things that I'm not supposed to know, right? This is how I go to Haven and I'm saying like, oh, do you have like a cyst in your left wrist? And they're like, yeah, how'd you know that? And I'm like, I'm a psychic, I guess. I don't know. It's the quantum field. It's this quantum connection. And you can do anything in the quantum field. You can connect with anyone. You can connect with anything. You can connect with any experience. You can connect with anything, right? The limits are in your mind. Or if you've expanded your mind enough, the limits don't exist, right? And so that's what I mean when I'm talking about quantum connection. And that's an expectation. When you come into my program, I expect you all to learn how to connect with the quantum field, because my highest priority is always, always, always going to be equipping you. I want you to be so equipped. I want you to not need me for very long, right? You can need me for a little while. I will be the crutch. I'll do the quantum channeling for you. I'll channel what I'm seeing in the quantum field and I'll tell you, we can explore it together and we can build belief together. But eventually there comes a point in time where I'm like, hey, this is on you, right? This is the point where I'm going to push you out of the nest. I'm not like I'm a baby, you're not a baby bird and I'm not a mama bird, but you get the idea, you get the energy. And what happens is I am really putting the locus of control back in your hands, right? You're no longer a victim. You have access to all unlimited power, unlimited strength, unlimited knowledge and wisdom in the quantum field. Okay. And so, yeah, everyone has that expectation anytime they go into my programs. My one-on-one program, which I'm shifting out of, if you want to work with me one-on-one, now would be the time, because I'm shifting out of that in the fall. But my one-on-one program, I had so many clients that really worked through these blocks very specifically and very, very in a very intentional way. And we had 4 shifts that we had to make very consistently. And I wanted to go over these 4 shifts with you guys. And so shift number 1 is the shift out of this very fast moving monkey mind type energy, right? And so my clients they'd say, okay, well, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to meditate. And their mind would just be like, bam, 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 to-do list, conversation I had with my ex, text message that my mother-in-law sent that was really, really rude, what else, to-do list again. Oh, that's such a funny thing I thought of, just over and over and over again. There'd be a ticker tape that rolls by and it's just bam, 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 bam. And so a lot of shifting out of this monkey mind energy is getting into a calm nervous system, getting into a nervous system that's in a relaxed state of mind, a relaxed state of being. And so that's something that we do in session, right? Number 1, we're taking away the beliefs that cause things to be activating. And number 2, we're learning tools, we're learning breathwork techniques, we're learning, things that will help us get into a very calm nervous system. Okay. And the other facet of this getting rid of this monkey mind is not judging the monkey mind, right? They get so frustrated when they sit down. They go to sit down and they go to meditate and they'd have these really high standards and they'd be like, oh my God, I sat down for 20 minutes and I didn't get anything done. And what happened is that they got frustrated too quick. The monkey mind picked up, it ramped up because they're pushing it away, pushing it away, pushing it away. Anything you push away is going to grow, right? And so they're pushing away this idea of monkey mind, and they are really pulling in frustration, pulling in this idea that they can't do it, pulling in these really high standards for themselves. And a lot of times this is maybe our first foray into meditation or trying to connect with the quantum field. And so I would say, okay, we just let it be. You have monkey mind and it's fine. It's totally fine. That's just something we're going to deal with, and we can practice and we can get out of it. We can shift it. But all I want you to do right now is just notice it and accept it. Be okay with it. right? And so those are the two ways that we actually three. So we have three ways that we're kind of shifting out of monkey mind: calming the nervous system, really taking away the beliefs that cause you to have that racing mind, a lot of perfectionism, a lot of lowering the standards that we have to shift. And a lot of the third one would be that self-judgment. Are you judging yourself for having monkey mind? Because that's just going to kick her into high gear. So that would be the first piece of resistance that we work through. The second piece of resistance that we work through when we're working into quantum connection would be that they don't think that they're connecting, but they actually already are. Okay. And so I want to pause for a moment, and I'd like to invite you into a little quantum, quantum connection exercise. And so if you're driving, don't, please. But if you can, close your eyes and get into the zone. Maybe try to find your way back into the body a little bit. And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine a box of crayons. Okay, so you have all these crayons, a 64 pack. You got a 64 pack of crayons, and I want you to pick one crayon out of this box of 64 crayons in your mind's eye. Okay. All right, you got your crayon picked, and now I want you to tell me, or just say it out loud, what color is the crayon that you chose? Okay, yeah, perfect. So what you just did was a form of quantum connection. Right? Anytime we're accessing things like imagination, and I put that in air quotes because there's really no such thing as imagination. All we're doing is melding consciousness into different forms and in different experiences, right? Your consciousness is not stuck in your mind. Your consciousness is malleable, right? We can take it and we can move it in different places. We can astral project. Anytime we're having these experiences with alternative consciousness, we're actually astral projecting. Just, are we in the stars or not? That's all that people think of when they talk about astral projection. And then whenever you're imagining, that's just you working with consciousness. That's you getting things very malleable. And so you're already quantum connected. If you picked a crayon out of the 64 pack and it was the pink crayon or the chartreuse crayon, you got 64 to choose from, you are crafting an alternative reality with your mind. And that's what quantum connection looks like. And so they were already having these experiences, but they were defining it away from themselves because it was something they've been doing their whole life, right? Every time they sat down to read a book, they'd have imaginations or imaginings of the book characters. And so quantum connection is when your mind is having a visual experience or an intuitive experience of an alternative reality. Right? And so they were already doing it. They were just defining it differently. Number 3, they would connect, and then they would sabotage that connection by invalidating what they saw. And so they would sit there, they would get into the zone, they would lower those brain waves, and they would really expand and open up to connection. And then immediately they'd see a guide. A guide would come through, and a guide would be like, oh, yay, we're connecting. This is so exciting, wonderful, amazing. I love you. That's typically what the guides say on, the very first time of connecting. A lot of like, perfect, wonderful, we've done it. And then they'd come back to session and they're like, well, I saw a guide, but I don't actually know. Like, I feel like maybe I was making it up. And like, there's the guide. I don't know if that was actually true. Like, I don't know if it was true. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me, because this is absolutely true. It is 100% true that your guide will connect with you in that zone. And so your responsibility is validating that, right? Like, it's not, did this actually happen? It's choosing that this actually happened, right? And so in order to do this really well for myself, I've set a couple of filters in place. And the filter is, who does it hurt? It's not a couple. It's literally just, this is the filter. I don't know why I said a couple. This is the filter I use. Who does it hurt for me to believe that this is objective, observable reality that I'm seeing with my eyeballs, right? And that will tell me if I'm an ego, if I'm limiting myself or projecting belief or being really weird, or whether it's an actual genuine connection. And if the answer is this will hurt no one, then I freaking send it. I go for it, and I go for it hard. I create as much belief around it as I possibly can. I'll get like totems, and I'll get like my necklace, my crystals. All of these are connections that I've had that I've painstakingly at times validated for myself. I've chosen to believe that it was a real thing, right? And so some of the work is really inviting them into that as a reality and saying like, hey, you did see. And now what I need you to do is really validate that for yourself. I need you to believe that what you saw was real. Okay. And then the final thing is the number one hurdle. And I hopefully feel like I've done a decent job of helping you guys not have this one, but you didn't feel like you could connect at all, right? Like they believed that maybe like being a psychic or being a medium or doing energy healing was something that was really limited and reserved for people who were born with a gift. I wasn't born with a gift. I developed this gift. I learned how to develop this as a skill, and I got better and better and better and better at it. And now I'm a pretty open channel. Like I can see things really quickly, and it kind of, sometimes it'll freak me out that I'm like, this is happening so fast. Like there's no barriers in the way of me being able to know. And then I have to go back and be like, all right, who does it hurt to believe that this is totally objective reality, right? I have to like validate it for myself when it comes through that quickly, because I have these limiting self-beliefs that I can't connect that quickly. And so at the very beginning of our time together, a lot of times my clients will have limiting self-belief that they can't connect at all, right? And so there is nothing in your way but belief, right? Belief. The monkey mind, that's just a collection of beliefs. That's a collection of beliefs. You believe that this is the way the mind works. You believe that your to-do list is so high on your priority list that you have to, you have to think about it, right? And so we shift belief there. If you believe that what you're seeing is not real, that's belief, that's self-belief, that's a limiting self-belief that you can just get out of there really easily, really quickly, just by noticing that you're doing it. If you believe that you have to be gifted, you have to know, you have psychic genetics, as though there were such a thing, right? Like genetics are weird and squirrely anyway. And the more we learn about genetics, the more we realize that they're just so malleable, right? Like genetics were bought and sold to us like in the wrong way. We didn't know any better, but genetics aren't even really the thing that keeps us who we are. What keeps us who we are is belief. As weird as that is to say, when we believe we are something, that's when we become something. That's how the placebo effect works, right? Like if you believe you took the pill, then you took, your body will be like, oh, okay, I took a pill, right? So yeah. What I want to point out is that all of these things, all of these limitations start with this belief, right? You have to begin building your self-belief and building, a reality that supports this belief. And so here's what I want to offer. I am actually creating this day retreat that is geared specifically towards helping you connect in the quantum field. I want to help you connect with the idea that you can do this, right? The idea that it is really a human right that you get to know your guide team, that you get to access spirit, that you get to have a deep and vibrant intuition, right? Like that's what I want for everyone. That's what I wanted for every single person listening to this podcast, every single person who engages with my social media. That's the invitation that I offer you. Do you want to connect? Because I will help you connect. I want you connected, right? I want you to have an autonomous, empowered, free sense of your spirituality. I don't want you to feel burdened or co-opted or controlled or manipulated by anything. I want you to be just audaciously free, okay? And so the quantum experience is a day retreat that I created at Valaterra Retreat Center. It's going to be at Valaterra Retreat Center on September 21st. And this day retreat is going to be really geared towards helping you believe that you can connect to the quantum field and getting you connected and tapped into the quantum field. Okay. And so the first part of the day, we're going to be learning a breathwork technique I call the quantum breath. I kind of developed it intuitively. When people tell you they invented breath work, they're lying, okay? Because breath work has been around as long as humans have been around, right? If we're breathing, I mean, technically we're doing a breath work. But what I did was I took a breath work type, a type of breath work, and I worked it into a format that supports and guides us towards quantum connection, right? So when I'm talking about the quantum breath, I'm not talking about some super special weird way of breathing. I'm just talking about using breath for the sake and the purpose of quantum connection, okay? And so we're going to be learning about the quantum breath. We're going to be learning what the quantum field is, although you guys got a really good head start here. And we're going to be talking about who your guides are, how to connect with the higher self, how to connect with whatever wants to connect with you and whatever you want to connect with, right? So do you want to use it for mediumship? Do you want to connect with past loved ones? Do you want to connect with archangels? Do you want to connect with elemental energies? What do you want to connect with? What do you want to do? What do you want to do out there? That desire is a nugget of opportunity for you to do just that, okay? And so when I teach you how to connect to the quantum field, all bets are off. You can do whatever you want out there, okay? You can do whatever you want out there. You're completely free. You have autonomy, okay? I'm not going to gatekeep this. I will never gatekeep, okay? I'm just not going to do that. It's not my vibe, not my brand. I've been gatekept a lot in my life, and my response to that is by like trying to make everything so free and so accessible. So if you want, that's what we're going to do first. We're going to be learning the quantum breath, connecting to the quantum field. Then we're going to have a box lunch. Super excited. I'm going to get a little local restaurant to cater us a box lunch. And then the last half of the day will be like us coaching around blocks, around our perceived limitations. And then we're going to be diving back into the quantum field one more time. Uh-oh. Got a little dog barking. Hey, come here, baby. Sorry about that, guys. Invited the sassy one today. And the sassy one is very vocal. He doesn't need a throat chakra adjustment at all. He needs to chill his throat chakra out. But the second half of the day, we're going to be going back into the quantum field, and we're going to be working with the energy body. We're going to be really learning tools to support your energetic flow. And a really good bonus part of this is that if you are my client, we didn't really have a whole lot of time in our one-on-one container to spend time working in this type of supportive basic energy, right? This is sort of like your basic energy healing tools. And I didn't build the infrastructure that I needed to build here. I needed to have more infrastructure built, but I just didn't realize I needed it. And so part of me solving this problem of like my people not really knowing how to do like the chakra cleanse and the auric flush and just like basic energy healing tools is that this is an opportunity for us to do that, right? We get to do that together. You get to beef up your quantum connection. And I've only taught a few of you the quantum breath. And so if you're a client, this is also a perfect opportunity for you to really beef up your connection, right? So client, never been a client, all of that's perfectly perfect. And here's the very exciting part. This is a perfect launch point for you to get into my fall group program, Haven Inner Circle. Haven Inner Circle is going to be this group energy healing and group coaching therapy type experience, okay? And we're going to have 4 gatherings, virtual gatherings a month. 2 of them are going to be a training and an energetic healing activation type thing, right? And so I'm going to teach you something specifically each month. And I'm going to do a group activation or a group energy healing every month, okay? And then the in-between sessions are going to be coaching around the training, helping you understand more deeply in the mind what it is we're trying to do. And then the final one is going to be helping you understand the energy healing, right? You're never really going to hear me disparage the mind. I love the mind, guys. Don't talk bad about the mind. The trouble with the mind is that, it can go crazy and we can have monkey mind and, it can sabotage us in some really specific ways. But I want people to understand what I'm doing. The more understanding that I have, the more understanding I can pull in the body, the more comfortable that I can become, the more confident I can become. And so I'm going to teach you all, and I'm going to make sure you all integrate it in the body, make sure you all have a deep understanding in the mind, and make sure you really are equipped in this medicine. And so if you buy a ticket to the Quantum Experience on September 21st, you get a free, drum roll. Hang on, let's just do a drum roll real fast. You get a free month of Haven Inner Circle. I just channeled my inner Oprah there. So I've kind of created this as like a really beautiful transition for you. So you come into the Quantum Experience, you really get very well versed in what I'm asking for when I'm saying, like, I want you connected to the quantum realm. I want you connected to the quantum field. And then you're going to be able to take that and kind of run with it in the Haven Inner Circle. Okay. And so, it's just going to be freaking beautiful. It's going to be so much fun. And you get a free month of that program with the purchase of a ticket. Okay. So, run, don't walk. Oh gosh, that's so cringy. But I really want to encourage you all, sign up for this. It's at an accessible price point. It's at Valaterra, which is such a freaking vibe. If you've ever been to Haven, you know what Valaterra is like. And it is like a long-term dream of mine to have been really to put something on that's like longer term than just like an hour, right? I got 2 hours on my Havens, and this is going to be from 10 to 4, and the doors open at 9:30. And like, y'all know I'm not going to get out of there at 4. Y'all know I'm going to be like shooting the breeze and, chilling and, just all the things. And so I really want to just encourage you to come. It's going to be very, very fun. There's a ton of information on my social media. You can go to informalmystic.com and get yourself a ticket there. It's also going to be linked in the show notes. Okay. So if you would like to participate in the Quantum Experience, I want to help you out with that. And I'm really, really excited to bring this offering to you. And I'm just so excited, you guys. Probably, you're probably annoyed with me at this point. I'm probably too excited, but here we are. Okay, so that was a beautiful podcast for my first solo pod. I think I'll probably start doing more of these because this feels like a really fun way to market and fun way to connect with you guys. As you know, as I've explored and discussed with you before, I don't really do good at telling short stories. And so the 30-second deal, the 90-second deal, oh my gosh. Not so good at that. And the algorithm doesn't like me when I post 10-minute videos. So yeah, I got like maybe, so far like 10 likes. So hopefully, there'll be more by the time that you could go and find it. But yeah, this was fun. And I hope I see you guys again. Follow me, like, subscribe, shoot me a review if you don't mind. Get me bumped on this algorithm on Spotify or Apple or Amazon, wherever you're listening. And I'll see you guys next time.